Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the weather hasn't been what you probably expect it to be in Australia, but yeah, great to be back out there. Great to be getting some match practice, I suppose. The guys have trained quite a bit, but at the same time, it's nothing better than being out in the middle and I suppose actually training for what we're going to be coming up against in the next few weeks. So good to be out there.
Just how crucial was it to get out there and actually get some, centre wicket kind of practice, because you wouldn't have faced a ball out there until Wednesday then?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it is important. As I said, you can do as much indoor nets and net sessions as you want, but actually, middle practice is really important going into such a big series. So it's been really good for us to get out today, and it's obviously a bit squidgy out there with the amount of rain that's happened, but we're pretty pleased to be out there.
Chris, how do you tackle the challenge of the Kookaburra ball in Australia? Some of the English teams have found it really challenging. Is it that way for you, and what have you done to sort of prepare for it?
Yeah, I think obviously the Kookaburra is very different to the Duke and what we're used to back home. We've got a lot of experience here in guys that have played all around the world and used the Kookaburra quite a bit. So I suppose we just touch base with those guys on what works, what has worked in the past. And I think it's trying to experiment with different things with it. Trying to get the ball to move sideways is probably the biggest challenge here. So I think trying to work out different things, the way we hold it, and obviously trying to get the ball to move off the straight is quite important.
I just wonder, is it a case of you or Ben Stokes, or can you fit in the same team, do you believe?
No, but I think we've played in the same team before, so I never see. I mean, look, Ben's a world-class cricketer, and he gets in any 11 in the world. So it's great that he's back with us. Hopefully, he can find form in this series. But no, I certainly feel we can play in the better team, in the same team.
Just to take on Trash's first question, apart from the ball, pitches here generally they say, unlike in England, you don't want it to kiss the surface, you have to hit the surface. And you toured here before. Can you actually bowl that English style here and still be successful?
I think you have to be willing to try and change your game a little bit. I don't think exactly what works in England certainly doesn't work here in Australia. As we touched on, it's a completely different ball, different conditions. You do get quite good bounce here, so just trying to extract that as much as possible as a bowler. But as I said, we've got good experience in terms of the amount of guys that have been here before, so you can touch on those experiences and what's worked and what hasn't, and try and move forward with it.
I mean, is it the same with finding the right length that they talk about always in Australia?
I think naturally you bowl a little bit shorter here, but I think at the same time I don't think you don't want to get drawn into bowling too short. I think you can still get nicks from a good length, and try and utilise that bounce, as I said.
The Gabba curators are saying they need four solid days to get this pitch right at the Gabba. Obviously, every day that we have sun, the better. But what are you expecting from the pitch come Wednesday?
I think it's trying to keep our options open a little bit. Our mind's quite clear on it could be anything. Obviously, we've played at the Gabba before, where it's a pretty true wicket. It's relatively bouncy. It's probably typical Australian conditions, but obviously the past week or so hasn't been typical Australian conditions with the rain. So I think we're just keeping our minds open on what it could be like. I think even last time we played here, it did start a little bit soft and it moved a little bit on the first day, and then as the game moved on with the sunshine, it hardened off and was a quicker bouncy wicket. So I think we're just trying to keep our minds fresh on what it might be, and obviously whichever team adapts early on will probably come out on top.
Do you feel like they've settled on a side yet, or do you really think anything that happens these next couple of days is going to sway anything, or is it just a matter of just getting that match fitness out there the next couple of days?
I mean, I'm sure the management and Joe as captain has probably got a rough idea on what they want to go in with. But again, they'll probably want to see what the pitch looks like at the Gabba in 4 or 5 days' time to probably figure out their final combination and what they go with. But I think games like this are really important, not only for us as guys that have been around a while, but actually for the guys like the Lions team to actually maybe impress the selectors or impress the coach, impress the captain to keep the older guys and the more senior guys on their toes.
Chris, in 2019, obviously Smith had a massive series in England, but you didn't do so badly against him, relatively speaking. Do you take a bit out of that coming in here? Or?
I've bowled at Steve quite a lot. He's a world-class player. He's had a lot of success against us as an England team, so we've got to figure out ways to try and keep him quiet, I suppose. I think relatively speaking, when he does well, Australia do well. So, it's pretty obvious we need to keep him as quiet as we possibly can. I feel like I have got him a few times, but at the same time, he's probably been on 150 at the time. So, it'd be nice to get him a little bit earlier, to be honest. But no, like I said, he's a world-class player. We certainly obviously need some good plans against him.
The Pakistanis and New Zealand did pretty well since then. To maybe watch that carefully to see if you can kind of borrow a few tactics there.
I think we're always looking at new footage and old footage to try and work out plans to certain players. Obviously Steve will be one of those, but at the same time they've also got other players which we try and focus on as well. We're going to have to take 10, 20 wickets to win test matches here. So we'll be looking at all footage. We've got analysts here that look through all sorts of data and try and give us as much as possible for us to then take out onto the field with us.
Chris, I know there's been some pretty serious and sensitive issues around both teams, and I know Ashes can get heated, but are you confident that'll all stay off the field? Like there'll be a bit of a gentleman's agreement or a line drawn, and it's just all cricket and when you get out there? Yeah,
I think whatever goes on the field goes on the field, and Ashes series, I suppose, always brings a little bit of, raises, I suppose, just that rivalry, I suppose, which is great between England and Australia. In my experience of playing in 3 Ashes series, I don't think it's really overstepped the line once when I've been around. So, I don't see it being any different. I'm sure the cricket will be hard fought, as it always is. And hopefully it's a great series for people to watch.
Yeah, and I guess those, what's happened around both teams, they're pretty serious issues. They're not things to make light of in any way, are they?
No, I don't think they are. Look, I think what's happened, in both camps, a lot of the issues are personal. And cricket's played best when, I suppose, that sort of stuff is left to the side, and we let skills do the talking, which I'm sure will happen.
Chris,
two more guys, gone by.
Sorry.
yeah, you go, mate.
Yeah.
No.
You spoke about Steve Smith, but you look at that middle order, number 5, you don't know who's going to play. Cam Green has played 4 tests, you have a debutant keeper. Is there almost a soft spot you look at, say, get Steve Smith and Manas out, literally into them?
I don't know about into them, but I think you always look at whatever 11 you're coming up against, and you look at their your top 7 or top 7 batters, and you kind of have your certain scalps which I suppose are going to cause a bit of a dent in their batting, and obviously Manas and Steve have been kind of rock solid for them over the past couple of years. So they're obviously 2 big scalps, but you've also got the likes of David at the top. But yeah, when guys, I suppose the guys that haven't got as much experience, I suppose you want to get them in as early as possible and try and put those guys under pressure. But that's just part of the game, I suppose.
And dare I call them the old fellas, but Broad and Anderson, they've been here a lot with differing success. So as they get older, has the experience made them more capable in Australian conditions, or do we see that age is going to get the better of them from what you can see of those guys?
I think it's more the latter. I think the more you play in these conditions, foreign conditions to us, what we have back home, the better you're going to be for the experience. So to have those guys obviously still around is great for the group. They're still, I feel, very much at the peak of their powers, and can still do incredibly well for this team. So we'll obviously tap into their experience and use their experience as a group, and hopefully they can have a good series.